Right, today I'm going to talk to you about the 6 W questions of the Crusades. The what, the where, the who, the when, the why, the how. Right, let's get on, let's do it. So, what were the Crusades? Well, basically there were a bunch of religious wars that happened between the European Christians and the Middle Eastern Muslims. Now, to understand why, you need to kind of understand what the history is. Now, the Christians adored a place in the Middle East called Jerusalem. Now, they would actually call it the Holy Land because this is where Jesus kind of did most of his work. Now, Jesus was born in a place called Bethlehem, which is just outside Jerusalem. Following me so far? Well, Jesus spends most of his time in Jerusalem when he's preaching the good word about God. So, when Jesus dies there, Christians see Jerusalem as perhaps a very important holy place. But what about the Muslims? Why is Jerusalem so important to the Muslims? Well, to understand that, we need to understand where Islam's come from. Now, Islam's quite a modern religion compared to Christianity. In fact, Islam was created in 610-ish by their leader called Muhammad, who's also considered to be a prophet. Now, in 1619, a little bit after he starts speaking for God, he gets a message from an angel, and the angel comes to visit him with a horse, and this angel says to him, "I'm going to take you on a special journey." So he gets on the horse, and with this angel, they go all the way across to the furthest mosque in the Muslim Empire at that time, which was Jerusalem. And so he went to Jerusalem, Muhammad, he sat down, he prayed, and then from there he went up to heaven, and he actually met God. All this happened in one night. And then after that, he had a discussion with God, he came back down, and he told people, other Muslims, "Tell you what, I've just had a great conversation with God, we're now going to have 5 pillars of Islam, and we're going to pray 5 times a day." Now, that is a huge moment in Islam. The Muslims respect that moment and cherish that moment a lot. So Jerusalem, where Muhammad was before he went up into heaven, is very, very important to the Muslims. So much so that when the Muslims did take over Jerusalem, they built a mosque there, and a big mosque called the Dome of the Rock, which is on the exact spot where Muhammad was before he shot up to heaven. So we've got 2 religions now who find Jerusalem extremely important. 3 if you include the Jews, but we won't talk about them today. So the Christians and the Muslims have a kind of uneasy understanding that whilst the Muslims control Jerusalem, Christians can go there on pilgrimage and go to the holy sites in Jerusalem and kind of do their praying there. That's fine until we get a problem in the 1090s AD, when all of a sudden it's becoming very, very difficult for Christians to go and visit Jerusalem. Let's talk about that now. So, Christians are getting a little bit angry because they can't get into the holy sites in Jerusalem. So, if you're an angry Christian, who do you talk to? That's right, you talk to the Pope. So, Pope Urban II, who is Pope during the time, is getting a lot of messages from Christians saying, "You can't get into the holy places in Jerusalem." So what does he do? Eventually he decides, what we need is some sort of army to go down there and recapture Jerusalem. And so in 1096 to 1099 we have the First Crusade. Unfortunately, it doesn't stop there. And then there was the Second Crusade, called by the Pope Eugene III, led by the French king and the German king. It was a disaster. And then we have the Third Crusade, led by the English king Richard Lionheart against the Muslim hero, warrior Saladin. That one's an epic, and it ends in a draw. Then there's the Fourth Crusade, between 1202 and 1204, where the Christians started fighting the Christians. Then there's the Fifth Crusade, ordered by the ironically named Pope Innocent III. They tried to take over Jerusalem by going through Egypt. It all goes to hell in Egypt. End of the crusade. The Sixth Crusade was brilliant. Led by the Holy Roman Emperor Frederick II, he managed to conquer Jerusalem without actually fighting Jerusalem. What a ledge! And then there was the Seventh Crusade, led by Louis IX, the King of France, not by the Pope this time. The Pope had nothing to do with it. Louis IX said, "I will capture Jerusalem for the Christians." He failed. And so to summarise, the Crusades are a series of wars led by the Europeans against the Muslims in the Middle East. Sometimes the Christians win, sometimes the Muslims win. All we know is that a lot of people died. On the plus side, we do get a lot of stuff in Europe from the Crusades, like numbers and perfumes and carpets. So we do benefit, although we have a lot of dead people. Let's find out more in class.